thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. And just thrilled that Mary Armitage, wherever she is, there she is, the force behind this Dancers Discourse series came to us and asked ODC to partner with Counterpulse and Dancers Group to have our artists that were curated into our Dancers Debate the Body Politic Festival to be here tonight. So I just want to do a couple of shameless plugs. Miguel Gutierrez just finished his dress rehearsal and will be joining the panel. And all of you, please save your programs, because if you'd like to come to the show this weekend, you can get $15 discount tickets, and we'd love to have you join us. Also, coming up on Monday, we're having a fundraiser and a lot of fun. It's called Glimpse, and it's basically showcasing the rest of what's happening here at Project Artaud Theater for the rest of 2008. And we've partnered with restaurants in the area: Atlas Cafe, Craig's Bar, Coffee Bar, Farina, Fritz, Live Sushi, Tartine Bakery, El Tepa, Whole Foods. Lots of fun, and that's Monday night, and $20 gets you lots of drinks and eats and some fun performance. So there's lots happening here, and we hope you'll join us, and looking forward to a really lively discussion tonight. And I want to turn it over to Mary Armitage.
Thanks, Julie. So my name is Mary Armitage, and I just want to say welcome. It's lovely to have you all here to talk about dance and politics, and God knows where we'll get, right? So I just wanted to say I'm the person kind of behind all this dance discoursing at the moment. I really thought that it was something that was missing in this scene here, and I'm really thrilled to see that these things are going very well and people do want to talk about what it is that we all do, so I'm really glad. This is basically something that I brought to Jessica at Counterpulse and to Wayne at Dancers Group and said, don't you guys want to help me do this? Isn't it a great idea? And they said yes, so I'm glad. So it's a wonderful little partnering between Counterpulse and Dancers Group that's been working wonderfully. We've brought other organizations in from time to time as it seemed right. We did one with ACTA last time. We found a wonderful little synergy here with ODC for this one. So just keep your ears out. We do this hopefully 3 or so times a year. There you have it. Let's see, let me turn it over to our fabulous moderator of the evening, Jessica Robinson of Counterpulse.
Thanks, Mary, and thank you so much to Julie and ODC for having us. So I was excited to be invited to host this conversation. And it also sort of adds another level of dialogue, because I am a presenter over at Counterpulse who's talking with the artists of ODC's festival, which is at Artaud. So there are a lot of levels of community that are coming together for this conversation. And I'm going to hopefully bring my spin on it and ask some good questions. When I started thinking about tonight, my first question was, well, what is political dance? And there could be a lot of answers to that question. The one that I chose was that it has two characteristics. One of them is a concern for the audience, and that's not necessarily saying we want to be loved by the audience, but that we want to affect some kind of transformation with the people who witness the work. The second is contextualization. So the work that is engaged in a dialogue, whether that's with electoral politics, with environmental concerns, with social movements, some kind of contextualization. And then I thought about some different ways that art can affect change. One of them is education, learning about an issue that you didn't know about. One of them is, for want of a better word, agitprop, getting you motivated about an issue. And one of them is ritual, which is sort of a meta-level shift in either the consciousness of the audience members or even the greater society as a whole, based on the art that is created. So we had dinner a couple days ago, and I floated these ideas with my panelists, and I have to say they sort of went over like a ton of bricks. All kinds of questions, like, well, I don't do this for the audience, and like, well, what does that really mean? And so we started to expand the concept of what is political dance. We can think about the politics of method, for instance, how dances are made, whether that process is hierarchical or democratic. That may or may not map onto other political issues. The effect of dance on the bodies in the audience. So does the work that we see lull us into complacency? Does it leave us feeling uncomfortable and wanting to shift and move? And also just dance's ability to bring together an audience in a room to have a shared experience, like we're having this evening. Dance also has the capability to hold multiple subjectivities on stage, so the experiences of different bodies, different backgrounds and perspectives. So those are some of the ways that we were thinking about expanding the question of what is political dance, and I invite you as participants this evening to continue to expand that definition. Because the Dance Discourse Project really focuses on work in the Bay Area, I want to take a moment before we get started to invoke some of the pioneers in Bay Area political dance. I'm working from an article by Stacey Prickett, who actually is based in the UK, and she wrote this for Dance Chronicle. There's a link to it on the Counterpulse blog, which I'm going to refer to several times because I want you all to go home and log on to it and continue this conversation. In the article, Prickett writes about Anna Halprin's early work with dance as healing, and also healing not only ourselves but the planet. Also some work on racial issues and interracial connections. Tumbleweed, an early feminist improvisation dance troupe which Rodessa Jones came out of. She later founded Medea Theater for the Oppressed. Mangrove, which was a men's improvisational ensemble that really showed men being affectionate in a way that we hadn't seen on stage before. John LaFan was part of that and is still making work. Margaret Jenkins, who deals with political issues often, although her choreographic approach is more formalistic. Joe Good and his work around gender and especially the AIDS crisis. Joanna Highgood, who does site-specific work dealing with the community histories of specific places. Contraband and Sarah Shelton Mann, still working today, which really was for many years sort of the heartbeat of activist dance in San Francisco. The subsequent work of Core and Keith Hennessy, who's here tonight. Also Wallflower Order and Dance Brigade, who have been making feminist performance for a really long time. That was Stacey's list, and to that list I would add more groups from the AIDS crisis, like the High Risk Group. I would add artists that are making work today around gender, like Sean Dorsey and Fresh Meat Performances. Twincest, who's doing sort of radical stuff around sexual politics. And a lot of the small dance collectives that Counterpulse works with through our fiscal sponsorship program, like Subjects to Change Performance Group. They have this great piece on water rights. Building Block Dance Collective that put together Dance Down the Lockdown. That's just a little bit of sort of calling into this room some of the threads that have been happening. And please don't get offended if I left your name off the list, because you're going to have a chance to expand this list later. And I'm going to ask the panelists to sort of place themselves within this context, this lineage, and help us expand and define it. Before I close, I just want to say that there are a lot of perceptions of what political work in the Bay Area means, and not all of them are positive. Political work can be didactic, or worse, even arrogant, assuming that we know something that the audience doesn't know. There can be a perception that work in the Bay Area is coming out of this sort of hippie, feel-good utopia that we're just sort of wanting to be in the 60s again. But I think on the flip side of that, that San Francisco is really a thought leader for the entire country, that we are the sort of pioneers in terms of gay rights, in terms of slow foods, in terms of environmentalism, in terms of technical innovation, and that the artists here are really shaped by their environment. So there's a very real reason that the work that we make tends to be related to these issues. And I also find that the artists here are more connected and less apathetic than elsewhere, and that the work is richer because of it. Rob Bayless, who is the director here at ODC, had some similar things to say on the topic, so I'm going to segue into introducing our first panelist, who's not here. Rob is actually in New York working on one of his plays. I didn't know this, but he's an artist in his own right, and so he wanted to convey his apologies for not being here, and he sent me actually a statement to read. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob. And I want to say that when I asked Rob to participate, it was not as a producer, but actually as an artist. And thinking about his curatorial process was really what I was interested in. So that's what he wrote about. I'm going to read this. It's a couple minutes long. I feel like tonight is really about the artists and their perspectives, so I'll limit what I have to say to a quick discussion of the reasoning behind my choice of this topic and the subsequent selection of artists. Simply put, I chose the topic because I believe it is critical right now that we as a citizenry insist on governmental change. Years of acknowledged, even illegal disconnect between the public will and the actions of the government